All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about something that's, well, it's probably in your hand right now. But to get to the heart of it, I want to start with a kind of provocative, maybe even a cynical question.
So just let that sit there for a minute. Now, what if the drug we're talking about isn't a drug at all? What if it's that little glowing screen in your pocket? You know, the reason we're even asking this is because when you look at the global crisis of smartphone addiction, and especially one country's jaw-dropping reaction to it, this analogy starts to feel, well, a little too real for comfort.
Okay, first things first. We have to be super clear here. This isn't just about, bad habits or someone not having enough willpower. The science is piling up, and it's telling us that too much time on your phone is tied to actual, measurable, physical changes inside your brain. And these changes, they look eerily similar to what happens with other addictions we're all a lot more familiar with. So let's start with your brain's control center, the prefrontal cortex. Think of this as the CEO of your entire operation. It's the part that's in charge of making good decisions, thinking about the future, and really importantly, controlling your impulses. But here's the kicker. Studies are showing that problem-level smartphone use is linked to this area just not working as well. It's like the little voice in your head that says, hey, maybe you should put the phone down now. That voice just gets quieter and weaker.
And then there's the reward system. You know the drill, right? Every little ping, every like, every endless scroll, it gives you a tiny hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical in your brain. But over time, that constant stream of little rewards literally rewires your brain. It starts to crave those digital hits more than anything else. And this isn't some newfangled idea. It's the exact same mechanism that hijacks the brain in things like drug addiction and gambling.
Now this one's pretty wild. It's not just about brain chemistry. I'm talking about the physical structure of your brain. Neuroimaging studies, brain scans, are actually showing that smartphone addiction is linked to a reduction in gray matter. Yeah, you heard that right. It means the brain can physically shrink in key areas. And that can mess with everything from your ability to focus, to your memory, to just being able to keep your emotions in check.
So, okay, these changes in the brain, they don't just stay in your head. They cascade out into a whole host of serious, real-world health problems. I mean, just look at this list. We're talking depression, anxiety, terrible sleep, even high blood pressure. And it makes sense, right? This constant state of being on, the endless stimulation, it really is the perfect storm for a decline in both your mental and physical health.
So yeah, this is a huge problem. And it's not just happening in one place. It's a global thing. But, and this is key, it's not the same everywhere. The scale of the problem is wildly different depending on where you look. Let's dig into the data. Okay, let's set a baseline. If you look at a huge global study, the median rate for smartphone addiction among teenagers is 23.3%. So think about that. That's almost 1 in every 4 young people around the world showing signs of a real addiction to their phone. Keep that number in your head because, as you're about to see, some places completely blow that baseline out of the water. And wow, just look at this breakdown. The difference is pretty incredible. You've got a country like Switzerland, down around 17%. Then you see places like South Korea and Japan, a bit higher. But then your eyes land on Taiwan, and the numbers are just staggering. It starts at over 30% for elementary school kids and then just goes up and up and up, hitting almost 44% by the time they're in high school. That's a really worrying trend.
Let's just isolate that high school data for a second, because a picture really is worth 1,000 words here. Look at that. Taiwan, at nearly 44%, isn't just a little bit ahead. It's in a totally different league. That bar is just towering over other developed countries like South Korea and Switzerland. We're talking about an absolutely exceptional scale of the problem.
So you see numbers like that, potentially the highest teen addiction rates on the planet, and you think, okay, Taiwan's government must be leading the charge with some really tough rules, right? You'd think so, but what actually happened next is the real head-scratcher in this whole story.
Yeah, let's just stare at that number again for a second. 43.7%. That is nearly half of all high schoolers in Taiwan. Just let that sink in. Because this is the backdrop for what the government decided to do, or rather, not do.
Okay, look at what's happening elsewhere. All around the world, countries are starting to wake up to this. France, Finland, the Netherlands, South Korea, they're all bringing in rules, even outright bans, on phones in schools to try and protect their kids. Now, you look over at Taiwan, the country with the most severe problem on Earth, and what do? The Ministry of Education announced they were postponing their own plan to manage phone use in schools.
Well, as you can imagine, that decision did not go over well. It was hit with a ton of criticism.
People immediately started asking, why? And many landed on a political reason. This quote from a teachers' union leader really nails the feeling on the ground. They basically accused the ministry of being scared to upset high school student voters, nicknaming them the Ministry of Postponement. The accusation is that they caved to political pressure from the very group they were supposed to be protecting.
Okay, so we've looked at the science of what this does to your brain, we've seen the absolutely shocking numbers, and we've seen the government's baffling U-turn, all of which brings us right back to the very beginning.
So here it is again. Is it possible that when a country has too many addicts, it becomes impossible to ban the drug? I mean, when a behavior gets so widespread, when almost half of your young people are hooked, does it just become politically impossible to do anything about it? The situation in Taiwan certainly makes you wonder. What do you think?